In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on November 4th, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical versus Ole Miss. The college football playoff rankings have been unveiled, with the Ole Miss Rebels securing the 10th spot. Their next challenge comes at home against the Texas Agricultural and Mechanical Aggies. As they enter this game, the Aggies are 5-3, while Ole Miss boasts a 7-1 record. In their last outing, the Texas Agricultural and Mechanical Aggies secured a 30-17 victory against South Carolina, aiming to build on this momentum. Max Johnson has thrown for 1,147 yards, featuring 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions with a completion rate of 58.8%. In the rushing department, Le'Veon Moss leads with 387 yards and 3 touchdowns, complemented by Amory Daniels, who has 355 yards and 3 touchdowns. The receiving corps is led by Aeneas Smith, who has 569 receiving yards, while Evan Stewart has 37 catches for 506 yards and 4 touchdowns. Noah Thomas contributes 209 receiving yards with 4 touchdowns, and several others have 100-plus receiving yards this season. On defense, Edrin Cooper has amassed 52 total tackles and 7 sacks, while Fadil Diggs and Walter Nolan each have 4 sacks. The Ole Miss Rebels approach this game following their 4th consecutive victory, a dominant 33-7 win over Vanderbilt. Quarterback Jackson Dart has thrown for 2,080 yards, tallying 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions with a 64.2% completion rate. Quinshon Judkins leads the rushing game with 691 yards and 9 touchdowns, complemented by Ulysses Bentley IV with 369 rushing yards, and Jackson Dart himself contributing 326 yards and 7 touchdowns. Jordan Watkins leads Ole Miss with 39 receptions for 580 yards, while Tree Harris boasts 536 rushing yards with a team-high 6 touchdowns, and Dayton Wade has 36 catches for 522 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the defensive front, Trey Washington has compiled 49 total tackles with 2 interceptions, while Jared Ivey leads with 5.5 sacks. Collectively, the Ole Miss defense has achieved 30 sacks and 9 interceptions this season. Ole Miss heads into this game with a wave of momentum and the advantage of a recent winning streak. In contrast, Texas Agricultural and Mechanical has suffered 2 losses in its last 3 outings. Ole Miss holds the 11th ranked scoring offense in the country, combined with a sturdy defense, making them a more balanced home team. While the Aggies have a formidable defense, Ole Miss is expected to produce explosive plays that will keep Texas Agricultural and Mechanical on the field for extended periods on Saturday. With a fringe top 25 ranking in both passing and rushing, the Rebels present a multifaceted offensive challenge that will be hard to contain at home. On the flip side, concerns arise with Le'Veon Moss's injury, potentially intensifying the challenge for Texas Agricultural and Mechanical to keep up with Ole Miss. Last week, the Aggies managed to put up 30 points against a less challenging South Carolina team, but they only scored a total of 33 points in their previous 2 games. Given their existing struggles in the running game, Moss's hobbled status or potential unavailability would place additional pressure on Max Johnson to compensate for the shortfall. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's season has been marred by the rigors of a demanding schedule. Their inability to secure victories against formidable opponents like Miami, Alabama, or Tennessee has kept them within the mid-tier realm. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical struggled in their encounters with top-tier rivals, and now they face an Ole Miss team that has clinched 4 consecutive victories since their sole loss to Alabama. While Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's defense remains formidable, it may struggle to keep pace if they fall behind. Max Johnson, Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's quarterback, hasn't showcased the ability to deliver standout performances on the road. On home turf, he boasts a passer rating of 153.2 compared to 112.9 on the road, sporting a 2-3 touchdown to interception interception ratio. The analysis essentially points to Ole Miss as the more reliable team in this matchup. Ole Miss has exhibited a trustworthy offense in games against opponents such as LSU, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, and Tulane. As the battle unfolds in Oxford this weekend, the odds of an upset appear slim. The margin of victory is expected to remain manageable, so the Ole Miss Rebels to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's defense is undeniably solid, ranking 14th nationally against both the pass and run. Their 7th place position in third down defense is a testament to their capability. Ole Miss, however, boasts explosive playmakers and is well-rounded. Both teams maintain a similar pace, averaging approximately 70 plays per game. Concerns surrounding Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's ability to uphold their run-first game plan, especially if they are forced to shift towards a more pass-oriented strategy, could create challenges. Moreover, Ole Miss has been quietly cultivating a strong defensive performance throughout the season, allowing only 23 points per game. This sets the stage for a favorable matchup against Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's middling offense. Anticipate the possibility that the Aggies might only manage to score 17 points in this game. Given these considerations, this contest is expected to evolve into a closely fought, lower-scoring battle. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Connecticut versus Tennessee. This Saturday afternoon showdown sets the stage for the Connecticut Huskies as they travel to face the number 17 Tennessee Volunteers on their home turf. The Huskies are coming off a 21-14 road loss to Boston College, while the Volunteers secured a 33-27 win at home against Kentucky. The UConn Huskies have had a challenging season with a 1-7 record, and they're now striving to secure their second victory. Last week, they faced a tough 21-14 loss on the road against Boston College, where their passing game struggled. Quarterback Taquan Robertson completed 11 out of 24 attempts for 130 yards with no touchdowns or interceptions. Jordan Porter led the receivers with 3 receptions for 47 yards. Most of the offensive production came from running back Cameron Edwards, who carried the ball 16 times for 89 yards and scored a touchdown. While their defense had difficulty containing Boston College, allowing over 400 total yards, they performed relatively well in limiting the opponents to 21 points. In summary, it was another tough loss for the Huskies, where both the offense and defense fell short of what was needed to secure a win. The Huskies enter their upcoming road game against number 19 Tennessee as 35-point underdogs. To cover this spread, they'll need various aspects of their game to click on both offense and defense. Notably, running back Victor Rosa is questionable for this game after missing the previous match, but this isn't too alarming given Cameron Edwards' performance last week. UConn must extract more productivity from their offense, especially in the passing game, as they are likely to trail for a significant portion of the game. This places additional responsibility on their passing attack to keep them competitive. On the defensive side, the Huskies need to disrupt the Volunteers' running game, which is expected to be a primary weapon for Tennessee. If they can stifle the run and make key stops on defense, while their offense works to match scores, they might put themselves in a position to cover the spread against this talented opponent. Tennessee has had a strong season, boasting a 6-2 overall record and ranking 3rd in the Southeastern Conference East. While they encountered a challenging road loss against number 11 Alabama, they rebounded with a 33-27 victory over Kentucky. In the last game, quarterback Joe Milton III delivered a solid performance, completing 18 of 21 passes for 228 yards and a touchdown. Don Thornton Jr. led the receiving corps with 3 receptions for 63 yards. The running game played a pivotal role in their offense, with Jalen Wright leading the ground attack, accumulating 120 yards and a touchdown on 11 carries. Dylan Sampson also contributed with 75 yards and a touchdown on 17 carries. The defense, however, faced some challenges, allowing Kentucky to gain over 400 total yards and score 27 points. Despite the defensive hurdles, the offense rose to the occasion, securing a significant win for the Volunteers. Tennessee enters their upcoming home game against UConn as 34.5-point favorites, marking one of the season's widest spreads. While they have encountered several injuries, particularly on the defensive side, these largely involve depth players who aren't expected to significantly impact the game's outcome. To cover such a large spread and secure the victory, certain factors must align for the Volunteers. The offense's capabilities are well established, but there's a strong focus on the defense. Last week, the defense allowed Kentucky to accumulate 372 passing yards and score 27 points. For Tennessee to cover this significant spread and win the game, their defense must limit long passes, especially when defending a lead. They need to force force their opponents into shorter passes and make them work harder for first downs. If they can achieve this while keeping their opponents out of the end zone, the Volunteers stand a good chance of covering the second largest spread of their season. Tennessee has emerged victorious in 4 of their last 5 games, with a winning streak of 5 home games. Offensively, they've been performing well, averaging over 30 points per game. Their potent rushing attack is one of the best in the nation, although their passing game is comparatively less effective. UConn has displayed strength in defending against the pass on the road but has struggled to stop the run, allowing over 200 rushing yards per game away from home. Consequently, they are anticipated to have difficulties containing the Volunteers' ground game. The Huskies have encountered 2 consecutive losses and have only won one of their last 3 road games. However, they've performed well offensively in recent games, scoring over 30 points in 2 of their last 3 matchups. While they may struggle to gain significant rushing yards against the Volunteers, who possess one of the country's top run defenses, their passing game is expected to be effective against Tennessee. While the Volunteers are projected to secure a win in this game, the Huskies have demonstrated their competitiveness in the last 4 matchups, with none of their recent games resulting in a loss by a margin of more than 7 points. The Volunteers haven't won any game by over 35 points since the season's opening match, and this trend is unlikely to change now. While UConn might not be the most appealing choice, the spread appears to offer an attractive opportunity. The Huskies should be the more motivated team, facing a Southeastern Conference opponent that's ranked. They've also covered in 5 out of their last 7 games when designated as underdogs by 30 points or more. Given the circumstances, this appears to be a potential trap game for the Volunteers. After a hard-fought contest against Kentucky and a ranked Missouri on the horizon in the following week, the Volunteers might be looking past this game. So the UConn Huskies to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. In terms of the total points in this game, the Huskies' defense has faced challenges this season, allowing over 400 yards and 30 points per game, even against weaker competition. While Tennessee is capable of potentially surpassing the total on their own, UConn is expected to contribute to the overall point tally. Despite Tennessee's impressive performance, they continue to allow their opponents to amass over 300 yards and score an average of 20 points per game. UConn remains unbeaten in terms of being shut out this season and should have the capacity to put up several scores. The Huskies average 20 points per game, which rises to 26 points per game when playing on the road. Their ground game may encounter difficulties against the Volunteers, who have one of the best run defenses in the nation. However, they should have success with their passing game, particularly considering Tennessee's defensive vulnerabilities to passing attacks. While the Volunteers are poised to win this game, the Huskies are expected to remain competitive. None of their last 4 games resulted in a loss by more than 7 points. Tennessee, on the other hand, hasn't secured a win by more than 35 points since the opening game of the season and isn't likely to change that now. The initial total for this game opened at 53 and subsequently rose to 53.5, indicating sharp action on the over. Tennessee's offense is the primary reason for taking the over, as they are likely to contribute the majority of points with a spread of 35.5 points. It is reasonable to anticipate that the Volunteers will reach into the 40s and potentially even the 50s in terms of their team total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Arizona State versus Utah. In a Pac-12 clash, the Arizona State Sun Devils hit the road to take on the number 18 Utah Utes, both eager to add another win to their season. Arizona State's previous outing saw them triumph at home, upsetting Washington State with a 38-27 scoreline as 4.5-point underdogs. On the other hand, Utah had a tough experience on their home turf, losing 35-6 to number 8 Oregon, failing to cover the spread as 6.5-point underdogs. In the historical series between these two programs, the Sun Devils have a 22-11 advantage, but the Utes have won the last 3 encounters, including a 34-13 road victory in their most recent clash on September 24, 2022. Arizona State faced adversity earlier this season, securing just 1 win in their first 7 games. During this stretch, their offense struggled, averaging only 17 points per game and registering a modest 14 touchdowns. Their running game, in particular, faced significant challenges, with a total of 656 rushing yards and an average of 3 yards per carry. In their recent match against Washington State, the Sun Devils found success, scoring touchdowns in every quarter on their way to a hard-fought 38-27 victory. Quarterback Trenton Burgett contributed 274 passing yards, but much of the offensive damage was done on the ground. The running back duo of Cameron Scatibo and DeCarlos Brooks delivered strong performances. On the Utah Utes side, they secured an impressive 6-1 record in their first 7 games, overcoming a couple of closely contested matchups. During this stretch, their offense performed more effectively, averaging 23 points per game and scoring a total of 20 touchdowns, even against challenging opponents. Utah's ground game proved more potent than their passing attack, with 11 rushing touchdowns compared to 7 through the air. However, in their recent game against Oregon, the Utes found themselves trailing 21-6 at halftime and failed to score in the final 2 quarters, resulting in a lopsided 35-6 loss. Quarterback Bryson Barnes finished with 136 passing yards and 2 interceptions, while Jalen Glover led the rushing attack with 39 yards, and Devon Veal contributed 7 receptions for 80 yards. The hallmark of Utah's success this season has been their tenacious defense. They have consistently played in low-scoring games, managing to secure significant wins. However, their recent loss to Oregon may have impacted their motivation, potentially derailing their season. Utah has struggled against the spread when they've been double-digit favorites this season, primarily due to offensive challenges. On the other hand, Arizona State has excelled as an underdog, covering the spread in all 3 instances when they've been double-digit underdogs. With one of the nation's top rushing attacks, the Sun Devils face off against one of the best defensive units in Utah. Arizona State is expected to put up points, but not at an overwhelming pace. Both teams have grappled with injuries, particularly in key skill positions, including the cornerback role, which has contributed to their offensive struggles. Utah's defensive superiority, combined with the home field advantage, plays in their favor. The Sun Devils will have their hands full, mainly due to Utah's offensive limitations. So the Arizona State Sun Devils top cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Regarding the total points in this game, Arizona State has leaned toward the under, with 6 of their 8 games this season ending below the total. In their 2 road contests, they combined with Cal for 45 points and managed to keep scoring to a minimum in their 22-point duel with Washington. Utah, on the other hand, has favored the under, with 4 of their 5 home games ending below the total. The only game that exceeded the total at home was a 34-14 win over Cal, which barely cleared the low bar of 42.5 points. Considering Utah's offensive limitations, they are expected to score no more than 21 points in this matchup. However, their formidable defense should keep the game relatively low-scoring. With both teams struggling offensively, this contest is anticipated to fall short of the total. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.